Hey, Vowed here. I'm super happy today to be presenting my new Deep House sample pack with Avant Samples. When Avant reached out to me, I was super hyped to make this pack because I have been wanting to do this for a while. This sample pack is perfect to easily make modern Deep House in the style of artists such as Meduza or Harrison, or even labels like Selected. I've included a bunch of samples from my own tunes in this pack, but also a number of other ones such as all types of drum samples, plucks, presets, atmosphere loop, and effects.
Alright, so basically, making a tune with this pack is going to be very easy. All you need to do is drag and drop, and really most of the elements are going to be there. So you can build your track from the ground up using only this pack. So basically, we'd want to start the breakdown with some chords, try and make some kind of melodic atmosphere going on. So we've got this chord MIDI 10 that I've loaded up with a very basic stock Ableton piano called Walla Keys. So this is how it's going to sound like. So yeah, very straightforward. And going into the MIDI here, you can see that we've got the chords playing up here, and we've got a pretty definite bass line going on down here. So what we want to do is duplicate that clip and keep only the bass line, which can be seen here. And this one I've loaded up with a preset from the pack, which is Deep Reese 1, very effective for breakdowns that you can really just use it under any chord progression to thicken it up and give that full sound to your break. We're going to fill this up with some Atmos from the pack. So we've got the Synth Atmos 5 right here that we can use. And this is definitely going to help with making the break sound more melodically developed and more interesting. We can also double it up with some Vox Atmos 2. So these together are going to sound like this. And with the rest of the break that we've made are going to give a pretty achieved result off the bat. And it's been what, like 2 minutes that we've been working on this project. We've already got something pretty far ahead, you know. What we want to do now is have this break build up towards a drop. So that's pretty easy as well with this pack. All you need to do is add a snare riser right here. So this is the snare rise 1 from the pack. That'll help build up, obviously, the percussive element. And added to that, we could also throw in a tonal riser right here, as well as some white noise, which will help fill up and uplift that break towards a drop. Now we've got this base of a build-up. We can still add some more effects, so I want to have a tonal riser dropping in here. So once this build is made, we'd want to move on to a drop. Using this pack, you can just slap in a bass MIDI. And this bass MIDI, I will use a smooth bass 1 from the presets in the pack, which will sound like this. Pretty straightforward and effective. And this pack is also very effective for sub basses, because all we can do is duplicate this bass line, link it up to a serum with a kicky sub preset which is in the pack, and then you can just go through it and chop it up however you want to have this kick come through whenever you'd like. This kick is what's going to give you the groove in your tunes. So you probably won't hear this if you're on laptop speakers or anything else than headphones or monitors. Next on, I think we can drop in a lead to have a bit more melodic context on this drop. So let's use lead MIDI 8, and we'll load in a preset pluck 8. This is how it's going to sound with a lead. Pretty much all of the leads and MIDIs in general in this pack work together. You just need to transpose them to make sure that they're the same key, but they're all going to work together. There's 20 leads, 20 basses, and 20 sets of chords. So if you do the math, that's quite a bit of possibilities and different combinations that you can go for, which makes this pack pretty long-lasting, in my opinion. You won't get tired of it that quickly. I think we can double up the synth atmos to make the drop sound thicker. So if we drag it in right here, let's also add some Vox Atmos with this Vox Atmos 8 from the pack. This is how it sounds. All this stuff is really elements that I use in my tracks quite a bit. You can just drag and drop them in, and it's going to be a massive time saver for your tunes. It's going to fill up pretty nicely, and let's say, for example, the Atmos, you can pretty much use in every tune without it being very distinguishable. It's just going to fill in, but it's not going to sound so similar to your previous tunes or the tunes that you'll make later on with these sounds. Ideally now for the drop, we'd want to bring in a kick, which will kind of bring it to life, obviously. So I've got this kick from the pack right here, which is, let me check. This is kick 8, so it's going to sound like this. I usually like to keep my first sections in my drops just kick, and usually have the hat and clap and tops come in on the second section to make the second section more dynamic. So I've just copy pasted this first section over, and then we'll be dragging in some hats. So I've got some hats right over here. You can also add some claps in there, and this is what's going to give you your typical house drum pattern, 4 to the floor with a hat and a clap. This is where the tops and the clap come in really handy, because typically you would have to build a drum pattern and input different hats, so like 3-4 hats that you got from other sample packs, a big amount of samples, big amount of drifting through hats, and setting up a pattern that's going to sound nice. But with tops, all you need to do is just slap it in. So I've included quite a bit, and it really helps with making the drop more dynamic and complexifying that drum pattern up a bit, you know. I see that this pre-drop section is missing a fill, which will help to announce the drop and make it sound a bit less dry in the transition. That's nice. Now we are definitely though missing an FX, but we can just go into the pack, get a noise riser. Definitely use the transition. If we want to add some harmonies though, we can add some bells right here. The bell plucks. It's this element, very minimalistic, but it's definitely going to be useful to kind of spice up that drop and give it a bit more texture and more complexity. Seeing this Vox Atmos here, Over the whole drop, it might sound repetitive, but we can definitely spice it up and maybe have a switch in the Atmos that we use. So we can slap in this Vox Atmos 3, for example, and mid-drop it'll change to a different one. So obviously if you transpose it, then it can work in any key, which is great because even if you've started working on your track, you can just slap in any Atmos you want and fill that mix up. The key to achieving a professional mix and industry standard kind of tune is definitely to fill that mix up, make it sound dense, but without making it sound messy. So you're going to want to add some elements, which in this pack are already processed. So you're not going to spend that much time mixing them down, and then give them the space that they need. So this pack is going to help a lot because it has idea starters, but it also has filler elements. So you'll be able to make your track from A to Z without really needing any other elements than the pack. So yeah, I'll leave you with a last listen of this short tune that we've made, and I hope this demonstrates how easy it is to make a short build, break, and drop in like 15 minutes. So yeah, here it is.